Today on People with Passion for Pets, we talk to Laurie Tully, the leader of the Nye County 4-H Dog Den. So, hi, Laurie.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. So, Laurie, you are the 4-H leader for the Nye County Dog Den. Is that the right?
Yeah, Nye County 4-H Pahrump Dog Den. So here's our shirt, Nye County 4-H Pahrump.
That's cute.
It is a dog training club, but the kids have named ourselves the Dog Den. So we are the Nye County 4-H Dog Den. Well, a lot of people aren't aware of 4-H. It's kind of like an FFA sort of thing. You mostly find it in rural areas, but it's catching up. Like Vegas has a huge 4-H. They don't have a dog club. The thing about 4-H in our area is the majority of our kids are homeschooled. We only have 3 schools here, elementary, intermediate, and high school, because it's about 40,000 plus population in a very, very wide spread out county. So the majority of the kids are homeschooled. And with something like 4-H, they're able to get a lot more out of the socializing and just learning different things that they are not going to get from being homeschooled. We do a homeschool co-op, they do quilting, shooting sports, dance fitness. So I do the dog training part of it. So there's a whole bunch of different clubs, and I'm just involved in the dog training side of it. Yeah, it's great to get them started young, especially with their pet dogs who've done probably zero to training in their time that they've had them. So it's nice to see them pull that pet out of the home, teach them everything from basic manners, and then evolve into things like dog sports and actually compete. The kids are starting to get to at the competitive level in several different sports.
And that's one thing really helpful is I noticed when we were raised in the country, dogs were just kind of dogs. They just stayed outside. We fed them and took care of them, but they didn't come inside, sleep on the bed and stuff like that. And you've opened up a great world for a child because now they have a buddy, and the mentality is all about the same. Life is good and they just want to go play. It really opens up the world for them.
Absolutely. It's changed a lot of relationships with the kids and their dogs because, like you said, a lot of them either just laid around the house and got chubby, admit it, or they were outside and they got fed twice a day, and it was just the dog that lived on the farm. And when these kids started bringing these dogs in and teaching them basic manners and how to, be a good dog in the house and how to stay out of the kitchen when you're cooking, and just the little things that you take for granted, they realized it was pretty cool to have the dog in the house with them and to sleep at the foot of the bed or on the floor in a dog bed. So all these things really, I think, changed a lot of relationships with the family pet, and made them more part of the family than just, someone who stayed outside and barked when the mailman came.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I like to push when we have a family with children is I always ask them, would it be acceptable if the dog behaved, if he could sleep on the bed or in the room with the child? And you can always see what the kids' eyes will get really big, like, really? And the parents will, they go, well, I guess if he behaved. And that's kind of where that bond starts, is the parent doesn't believe it can be like that. So the training that we do is to help make sure that that can be. So when the dog comes in, they're quiet, they don't jump on the counters, they don't do stuff like that. And all of a sudden you have another member of the family.
Absolutely. And it really makes a difference in the motivation of the kids to work the dog. At first, they start off kind of leery and, oh, my dog's not really that smart. He's kind of lazy. Before you know it, they're accomplishing these little tiny baby steps. And pretty soon the kids are just like, give me more. I want to do this. And, like I said, within probably about a year and a half, the kids that I had started with started competing. And they thought that was pretty amazing. We're having a wrestling match over here. Excuse my
That's okay.
crazy.
That's just fine.
It's that time of day when everybody's super excited to be running around.
So that's really a neat thing. It sounds like it's more of a long-term, relationship that you have too with these children, and that they stay in the club, and then it goes from training and just basic finding out how to properly take care for the animal to even being part in a sport. What type of sports do they do?
Well, last year we were fortunate enough to form a toss and fetch league with Frisbee. So the kids actually competed. We had a team, very competitive for our age group, and they placed very well. Some of the junior handlers, which is kids under 13, placed in the top like 50. So kids are very, they have no reservations, and it's okay to not succeed. And like us adults, everything has to be right and perfect. So I found that the kids did very well because they weren't afraid to try it. They weren't afraid to fail, and they weren't afraid to not look perfect. So we did a toss and fetch league last year where we competed internationally with teams from all over the world. And we have done one of our matches last winter, the end of last year. We did a kind of like a training match to the 4-H, and the kids competed in rally, showmanship, which is confirmation, but they can use their own pet dog because they're basically, we're judging the kids and not the animal, but they have to, it has a lot
That's
to do with the
cool.
bond between them and the dog. And they competed in say agility, rally, and showmanship. So yeah, they've become pretty versed on a lot of things. I also have a pool and a dock. So the kids were learning dock diving last summer.
Oh,
They're
that's so fun.
Yeah, teaching the dogs to swim and teaching them to jump off the dock. So hopefully this summer we'll have created a couple of competitive dogs in that sport too.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So how do kids get started? So they just sign up and then they bring their dog in, and then you start with basic obedience, or how does the program work?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because we're at different levels. I've had some kids that have been with me for the whole time and their dogs are, have gone through the whole ringer, but we don't start like blocks or anything like that. It's when a kid shows interest, they, address it with 4-H. They come in by themselves or with their parent without the dog the first time, check it out, see how we do things. And then we integrate the dog in. I usually do an evaluation on the dog first, and I use my own personal dogs to see how a lot of these dogs react in a group setting, because some of them have never really left the house. There's a lot of lack of socialization when they come most of the time, which is, pretty
Right.
common. I'm sure you see that a lot.
Yeah.
So we start there, and it's, thank God for my co-litters and these parents that are so supportive. I have a lot of parents that come to club and they're learning along with their kids. So I can have them take a group off to the side that is just starting and working on some basics, how to place onto their little climb tables and how to wait their turn. And then we have some kids that are outside working on more advanced agility drills. So we try to split it up because we do have all levels. We have some young dogs too that are 4, 5, 6 months. And I let them start as soon as their shots are done. They get to come because I think the sooner the better. And, don't wait till they're 2 years old. So yeah, we just integrate the new guys in, and we try to bring everybody along and still keep the advanced kids going forward. But it's kind of nice because the kids that have been around a while take the newbies under their wings, so to speak,
That
and help
is-
them out a lot with their dogs.
That's really, really cool. What is the shots for the animals? That's very good. What is the age group for the kids? So they can start 4-H pretty young, right? And when the dogs
They
are
can,
ready.
they can start 4-H at 5 and go into a program we call the Clover Buzz, which prepares them for the older clubs. Now, basically for any of the other clubs, it's 8 to 18. I can make an exception. Any leader can make an exception to take on younger kids. So I do have a couple that are younger. They're 5, but they both have to be with their parents, and their parents handle the dogs and the kids are there. So as long as the child seems responsible enough and they can actually pick up after their dog, if they take them outside to potty, they can get a water bowl and make sure those are the basics. Mom is there or dad, and they handle the dog, and they basically the kids along for the ride and gets to see everything and definitely participate. But the handling is mostly done by the adult, just especially if it's a bigger dog. Like we have a couple shepherds and some stronger breeds that it's great for the kids to be there. They just can't physically handle the dog. So
Right, of course.
they start pretty
Very
young.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So I'm assuming you have all kinds of different sizes, and obviously you already mentioned ages of dogs.
Right. Yeah, we have one of probably our most successful and fun dogs that's been with me from the beginning is this little Chihuahua Rat Terrier mix named Dom Cow. She's an amazing little dog. She's our little midget of the group. We have a brother and sister Chiweenie couple, Chihuahua wiener dogs, and they're handled by their team handlers, and they're 8 months old. We have a shepherd who just turned a year, who's from our local rescue here. They adopted a few months back. We have a herding breed mix who's been with me from the beginning. She's an amazing agility dog. So we do get a lot of a few cattle dogs. We get stragglers here and there, people that come in just to get some training, and then they move about and go on their way and move away. But
Awesome.
it's kind of cool that we get a nice mix.
Well, and it's such a cool idea too, because it's something where the whole family is involved. So it's the parents and it's, the children and the dog. And that's what we try to foster too. It's like, when you have a well-behaved dog, all of a sudden that dog is included in all kinds of fun activities. Whereas if, you know, if the dog isn't that well behaved, then most of the time he has to stay home when the family goes hiking or goes to a, you know, out for an outing or something.
Yeah, that's really important. They're learning that they can take their dogs, and you know, you do a lot of things about crate training and seat belts and harnesses and stuff, because usually the family dog was in the back of the truck or just loose in the back seat. So we do a lot of that stuff, and they're finding out that it's more fun to have these boundaries and to teach the dogs to sit nicely in a seat with a harness and a seatbelt on, or be in a crate. And they do start taking their dogs places. They go to the park. We do parades in town. So the more the dogs get out, the more sociable they are. So we tend to do little outings to help the dogs to become more sociable, because a lot of them haven't seen a big garbage truck go screaming by when they're walking, you know, in the desert, and rabbits that run by your face when you're out hiking. So it's kind of cool. The kids are really motivated about getting them out and showing them off, because parades are a big thing for us, because people just love to see the dogs walking nicely on leash with their vests on, and the kids. And it's
That's very
all
cool.
about, you know, them getting credit for what they've done. They love it.
Now, is it something that you kind of developed the curriculum, or is there something that's already out there that other 4-H groups can model after?
Yes, 4-H does have a curriculum, and it's just suggested. So they come with workbooks and different things that tools you can use for training. A lot of my background comes from training pet dogs when I was in Phoenix. And so I took just a lot of the basic stuff I learned from some great trainers, and a lot of seminars, and a lot of online learning. And I still refer the kids back to some YouTube videos of a trainer I adore in Phoenix. So we bring it in from all over. And of course, each week the kids come with something new, like, hey, I had this situation, or hey, I figured this out.
Right.
And so I think a lot of stuff that they learn amongst each other is comes straight from them. I mean, they'll give you a scenario, and then an 8-year-old will pop up with, like, hey, that's happened to me and I know what to do. Wow. You know,
Wow.
so there's a lot of light bulbs going off when it comes to dog training with these young kids, because they're so motivated to be able to have their dogs sleep in their bed and go in the car with them. Yeah, it's a whole new world, I think, once they realize the pet is a member of the family, pretty much.
It does, because when they grow up to be adults, they have a different perspective on getting an animal. Do they have other different type of training, like Canine Good Citizen, or any external programs that they might get into? They go, hey, this is really kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good question. I am a CGC evaluator, so I have the kids have accomplished, quite a few of the kids have accomplished CGCs, Canine Good Citizens, at different levels. A lot of them have done their trick titles, novice, intermediate. That's as far as some of them have gone, but we're working on the advanced. So yes, it helps with me being an evaluator for AKC, that I can do these titles on the kids. So a handful of them have gotten their tricks and their Canine Good Citizens, and that is pretty cool, because they wear their bandanas and their tags, and the kids have their patches, and it's huge for them to accomplish a certificate or certification, as they like to say, with their dogs. It's a great accomplishment. Not something they're used to doing. So
That's really cool. What about the leash laws there in Nye County? Are they able to do off leash when you do toss and fetch and stuff like that? What do you find how that works there?
yeah, they're pretty lenient here, because like I said, it's a rural community. So there's a lot of dogs just wandering anyways, you know, people's gates are open and they come over to my yard. And so it's pretty dog friendly. When we do things like competitions at the parks, we usually have to reserve the park, and they know what we're going to do. But if we're training off leash at a park, we just never get hassled. It's really a pretty well-rounded community that knows why we're there. And the kids are all wearing their shirts, and their dogs will never be off leash unless they have that really great recall that we work so hard on. And I know that the dogs are safe. So we have a couple fenced in dog areas here in town that we can go to and do toss and fetch and some recall training. And our building has a great little field with our agility equipment where we do our training that's fenced. So there is a handful of dogs that can be off leash in an area like a park that we go to train at. But you know, there's a lot of long lines.
Yeah, we always carry around a nice 25-footer with us, and people
Yeah.
love that. And when we just did one yesterday, though, we moved them into the long line, and I'm sure the kids get that the first time they are able to do a good recall at 20, 30, 40 feet, their eyes light up and they realize, wow, that's the coolest thing.
Right. You have that safety net that they can step on the leash at any time. And there's
Yeah.
a chance that, I mean, 90% of the time the dog comes straight back to them. Sometimes they might wander past them, but there's always that safety net. And then the kids aren't nervous. You know, to drag a 6-foot leash means nothing. 25 feet is great. So we do a lot of stuff on long lines.
Awesome.
Very cool. So the 4-H, sorry, in the 4-H, do most of the 4-H people have a building or a club? So if they want to do something specially inside or something, or are you all just kind of using a family place, or actually is it 4-H's?
Yeah, we have a building in town. It's very old, a little dilapidated, but we've done our best to keep it up. You know, when you're working with donated funds and a little bit of county money that we get, we have an old firehouse, and it's a big metal building. So we have one big area where the dog den does our thing. Then we have a middle bay where robotics is. Then we have a kitchen and a sewing area. So yeah, I think pretty much all 4-H's have their own community type building. And some areas like St. George, Utah have this beautiful, brand new, state of the art, you know, but that's how it is. You know, you just got to work hard to get your community involved. And then the more you do, the more people donate, and the more they help you out. And the more, you know, we get a lot of help with our community. Home Depot, Do It Best Hardware, all these places donate a lot. At Tractor Supply, they're very much into 4-H. So we're very fortunate to get a lot of our stuff donated.
And 4-H is a 503c, aren't they? So
Yeah.
you could take specific donations so people could say, hey, I want to donate and help the dog program out.
Absolutely. And we do have, some people donate everything from equipment, leashes, collars. I've had somebody donate some Fit Paws equipment, because we do a lot of Fit Paws and conditioning too. Kids love that. It's all about, you know, getting the dogs leaner most of the time and stronger and build their stamina. So, you know, we've learned everything about getting them in shape and in condition, and stretching and walking them out. And that's it. You know, the physical part is huge for me as much as the mental is. So kids are really getting used to doing that.
I wanted to go back to the funding. So it's all it's the county that you get your funding through, or?
Well, we're actually governed by the University of Nevada at Reno Cooperative Extension. So the university owns our campus, and any funding that comes through them, there's a allotted amount for 4-H. And a lot of it, like I said, is from donations. So like any other not-for-profit or 501c3, you kind of fight for your funding every year. And this, like I said, is a big retirement community, not a lot of children, not a lot of kids programs. So we fortunately have an amazing team, Miss Stormy and Jamie, that pretty much run 4-H, that fight for us every minute of every day. So we are very lucky to get what we get. There's some great people out there, some great moms in our community whose kids are involved too, and they run the whole program, and they're right on.
Cool.
That's really neat. Is 4-H something that goes year round, or is there like a summer break?
Most of the clubs will take off for the summer because it's so hot here. I mean, we're up in the way over 100. So a lot of the clubs that do outside stuff like Garden Club, they may start really early in the morning, but mostly like August and September, most clubs will stop. And our building only has swamp coolers, so it's almost impossible to be in there in the summer. So yeah, we usually shut down for the summer, but now that we have a pool, and we've had it for 2 summers now, the kids will come over here and swim and bring their dogs and swim with their dogs.
I'm sorry, I was going to say how fun to be able to swim with your dog.
Yeah,
That would
I
have
know.
been
I
like
picked
when
up
I
on
was a
that
kid,
one.
I would have been all over that.
Oh, we look around for Phoenix and there's nothing. I mean, they might have a swamp pond over here or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, when we were a kid, swimming with dog that's what you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. We're fortunate enough to have like a 32 by 16 foot above ground pool that has a dock on it. We built like a 27-foot dock that has stairs, and so the kids can teach the dogs to run and jump. And then they teach them to swim, and some of them absolutely hate it. We have the little Chihuahua rat terrier floats around on a raft while the kids swim.
That's wonderful.
But the kids love it. They have swim parties, and we have birthday parties, and so we're pretty good about staying active. And when COVID hit, pretty much everything shut down. But we did weekly Zooms. We never stopped. I said, you guys want to keep this moving? Let's do it. And they got homework, and they showed videos,
Wow.
and we would share. Yeah, it was awesome. The kids did so good during the shutdown. They were here every week, and they were training, and they were working hard, and we were making treats and showing each other how we did frozen ice cubes with fruit for the dogs. And they came up with some great things. So I think keeping their brain moving through the pandemic was huge in keeping our club alive, because we did not suffer. We just kept right on going. And as soon as we had the building back, we were right in there.
Are there some online media sites, or are you guys on Facebook? Do you have a website that we can tell people about?
Yeah. Nye County 4-H Pahrump has a website, a Facebook page. And it pretty much touches in on all the different clubs and what they're doing and what's going on. Like robotics is getting ready to have a competition, and shooting sports just did a virtual competition. So yeah, it's pretty active, and they'll tell you what's coming up and what's going on in our community club meetings. And so we do have a Facebook page. The kids also created a commercial this summer. So to just basically a recruiting commercial. It's really cool. The Dog Den kids did it. So it was a really fun activity for them to write the commercial, figure it out, and, and answer questions. And yeah, so we put that out on Facebook, and we actually recruited some kids for this year. So it was very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about for our viewers in other parts of the country? Is there like a general resource for them if they wanted to get something started like this?
Yeah, you can go to, I think it's 4h.org, and there is a whole main site about 4-H, and it'll break it down by states. You can go in there and look at and see what is in your area. And if not, there's a lot of good guidance on the internet and through the main organization that can get you started. If you want to start a club and you wanted to seek out help and information and resources, yes. It's nationwide, and it's getting bigger and bigger, especially since kids are, like I said, more often now homeschooled. And I think 4-H is getting popular in those areas as an outside activity and a social setting for the kids.
That's so awesome. So I'm sure this is a huge time commitment for you as a leader. I think you mentioned once a week. Is that when the group meets?
Yeah, we meet once a week for about an hour and a half. And that's when we do our training. We get homework and, figure out what we're going to do for the following week. But also there's a couple kids that are getting pretty active in competing in agility or getting close. So I'm trying to meet them. We meet once or twice. We try to work at the field because we have our agility field that's open, for us to be there when we're not on club time. So a lot of the kids get together outside too. So there's a lot of friendships and family bonding going on between families and kids with dogs. So the commitment is once a week, but we do a lot of weekend activities too. Like we do a cleanup in the desert. We did some yard work for an elderly person who lost their spouse. So we meet a lot outside of the club just to do the community stuff. And we're doing a VFW food bank drive right now where they're collecting food for the VFW food bank. So there's a lot going on outside a club.
That's cool. Are they able to, are the kids able to go down to the local rescue and volunteer down there, help take the dogs out for a walk or do some training with those guys at all?
Yeah, I wish they were. Unfortunately, the law is 18 or older because of the liabilities. So I have a contact at our rescue here that I do some volunteering for and do some fostering. And we're trying to get like a program dog, like a dog from the rescue that's been really hard to adopt, to come in and probably stay with me, but go to club meetings and get trained. We just kind of have to find the perfect dog. It's tough when you have this age group with the experience level they have to take in a big, crazy, maybe a bully breed or something that's real strong and heavy and hard to handle, because that's mostly what you see,
Right.
So we're
Same
kind
here.
of waiting for the right dog that the kids could really make it adoptable, work real hard to get some good skills on the dog to make him more adoptable. So yes, the rescues and everything around here, the vet clinics, everybody's on board with trying to, get our shelter dogs out. So
excellent.
How about your own dogs? So you mentioned that you involve them in socialization when you first start out. Somebody to tell us a little bit about, because you also are involved in dog sports, right?
Yes, I compete actively for about the last 20 years in fly ball. I compete in toss and fetch with disc. I teach the kids agility, but I don't compete in it. I do dock diving. My dogs quite a few of them compete in dock diving. So the good thing about having a nice little menagerie of trained dogs is when the kids start to compete or they're getting to that level, a lot of them will work my dogs so they can see how to get the success out of them or how it's done, especially agility. It's tough for the choreographic side. I mean, the kids, where your arms and your body has to be. So to run a dog that has a little bit of experience helps them out to take their dog who's learning. And yeah, so I have all breeds, mostly Staffordshire Bull Terriers. I have a Whippet. I have a few mixes, and the kids do work my dogs, which is nice because, of course, the dogs will do anything for the kids. And of course for food, and the kids just love
anything for kids and food.
Yeah, well, hey, the kids will do anything for food too. I remember that. I'll do anything for food.
Will work for food.
How many dogs are you up to now?
Oh wow! Do you really want to know?
Yeah, you kept saying it, so I'm going to ask.
15.
That is
Oh,
beautiful.
bless your heart.
Well, we have 5 acres, and my husband works from home, and I work 3 nights a week in Vegas. So we're pretty much here, which is nice. And I have, of course, half of them are probably over 10. I think I got 8 dogs over 10 years old, from between 10 and 15 that are retired from sports, and they're just all hanging out and waiting, waiting for me to come home. And then we have the very active sport dogs. Some are in the process of being trained. My youngest is a 10-month-old Whippet who is being trained for lure racing. She will be an oval and straight
that would be
track lure
fun.
racer. Yeah. Come here. She just
That
comes
is
one
awesome.
around.
15. Oh, yeah, God
Yes,
bless you
we
guys.
do. Yeah,
That
it's
is
a lot
so
of work,
cool.
but we have acreage, and you have, the time, and you have the space, and all the resources. It's not too bad. There's
The
days.
time and stuff. That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, you sound like you are a very, very busy lady, Laurie. But it's wonderful, all the things that you do. And
Yeah, it keeps you honest, and it keeps you young. I think, especially the kids.
well, and you're retired military, so we want to thank you for your service to the
Absolutely,
country.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, me and my husband both. We retired from the Air Force.
Air Force. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you both then for your service.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That's your little
She's been
puppy.
rolling her with it.
Heck yes.
Oh, she's so pretty. Hi,
Yeah.
look
Look
at that
at that, all
face.
built for
Those
speed.
eyes.
They're all
She's
dynamic.
adorable.
She's a lot of fun. She's a lot of dog too. Whippets definitely have their off switch, but when they're on, they're a lot of dog.
We had a acre and a half boarding kennel, or I guess about an acre. And when I would board greyhounds or whippets, they would go from corner to corner, and I would have to move stuff so they could go to the corner, bounce off the wall, and take to the next corner.
I
Yeah.
tell you, they don't stop moving unless they're tired. So they're a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's my first time I've had a young Whippet in the house. She's been a lot to train, but it's
Yeah.
been an adventure.
We got acreage. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes. We have plenty of space to run, so we do that every morning. But
She probably comes out there and taunts the other 14 dogs. Bet you can't catch me. And they probably look at her like, don't even think about it.
they try, and they get smart, and they cut the corners, so they cut across the field. when
Let's
she's running.
gang up on her. You guys
Yeah.
get her.
The corgi's out there going, okay, I'll go this way, and you guys go.
Yeah, the terriers have that down pat. They know exactly how to catch her without her figuring it out. Whippets are
That's
sweet, but yeah, they don't think so much.
They were built for speed, not.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, funny.
Well,
Yeah, so-
wonderful. This has been a really wonderful interview, and I think our audience is going to love it because I don't think there's a lot of people that know 4-H does dogs. So it's
I
awesome.
didn't
Yeah.
know that. I knew that they did,
I
the
thought
4-H
cows or
Exactly. I mean,
rabbits,
yeah. Yeah. I had no idea they do dog training, and that's really a big deal because, when we do our training, we try to get the whole family out. Who's your youngest child? Can they talk, and then they can participate.
Sure.
Well, we'll let you go, but thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. That was, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but this has been a wonderful interview.
Yeah, it's very good.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys getting a hold of me.
Well, cool. Well, thank you very much. It was fun. It was very interesting. We learned some stuff too.
Great. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.
You
Yeah,
too.
yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Okay, we'll talk to you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the information. And until next time, keep your paws on the road.